Hello and welcome to today's YouTube video, where we will delve into the insightful and transformative pages of The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. In this summary, we will explore the key concepts, lessons, and practical insights shared by the author as he dissects the wisdom of ancient Stoic philosophy and its application in modern life. So sit back, relax, and let's embark on this journey of self-improvement and resilience. So, let's dive into the summary of this incredible book. But before we dive into the content, I kindly request a moment of your time to appreciate this video by liking it, subscribing to the channel, and ringing that notification bell. Your support means a lot to me. Thank you so much. The Obstacle is the Way is a compelling and engaging book that draws inspiration from the Stoic principles of overcoming adversity and challenges. Author Ryan Holiday masterfully combines historical anecdotes, real-life examples, and practical advice to demonstrate how the obstacles we face in life can actually be viewed as opportunities for growth and transformation. One of the key themes explored in the book is the concept of perception and how our interpretation of events shapes our response to them. Holiday emphasizes that it is not the obstacle itself that hinders us but rather our perception of it. By shifting our perspective and viewing obstacles as opportunities for growth, we can transform challenges into stepping stones towards success. Holiday presents several practical strategies for applying Stoic philosophy in our daily lives. One such strategy is the practice of the art of acquiescence, which teaches us to accept the things we cannot change and focus on what is within our control. By cultivating a mindset of acceptance and resilience, we can navigate life's challenges with grace and fortitude. The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday is a guidebook to Stoicism that teaches us how to turn our obstacles into opportunities using resilience and resourcefulness, leading to personal and professional success. Ryan Holiday is an American author, media strategist, and bookstore owner. He's also the host of the Daily Stoic podcast. His other books include The Daily Stoic, The Obstacle is the Way, and Courage is Calling. In The Obstacle is the Way, Ryan Holiday brings the age-old wisdom of Stoic philosophy up to date. By examining the struggles of historical figures of inspiring resilience, Holiday shows not only how obstacles couldn't stop them, but more importantly, how these people thrived precisely because of the obstacles. Holiday shows how we can turn obstacles to our advantage, and how we can transform apparent roadblocks into success, both in our businesses and our personal lives. The Obstacle is the Way is a modern take on the ancient philosophy of Stoicism, which helps you endure the struggles of life with grace and resilience by drawing lessons from ancient heroes, former presidents, modern actors, athletes, and how they turned adversity into success thanks to the power of perception, action, and will. I know you can't really call people versatile, but if you could, I don't think there's a man it'd more apply to than Ryan Holiday. If I could have a person in Swiss Army knife format to bring wherever I go, I'd pick him. Online marketing, press and media coverage, growth hacking, relationship building, book publishing, and now Stoic philosophy, there's no stopping this guy. The Obstacle is the Way takes ancient philosophy, applies it to the success stories of ancient heroes, historic figures, and modern celebrities and CEOs, and derives a framework from it, which you can follow to face the struggles of your own life with the right perception, actions, and the will to see them through. Here are 3 great lessons that will help you follow in Seneca's footsteps. Imagine you're advising yourself as a friend to keep an objective perspective. Large obstacles have large weaknesses. Identify them and use them to overcome even the biggest challenge. Use your will to accept what you cannot change and change the things you can. Ready for some resilience? Let's go. Lesson 1. Imagine you're advising yourself as a friend to keep an objective perspective. Have you ever wondered why the solutions to our friends' problems are sometimes so obvious to us, yet they can't see them? Dude, if you can't pass that test, just take a crash course like you did with your driver's license. Remember? Damn, could have thought of that, but you didn't. The reason why is perspective. Our initial reaction when we run into an obstacle is always emotional. We get frustrated, angry, and think there's no way to solve this problem. However, when we look at other people's problems, we don't get so worked up about them and perceive them objectively. That's what allows us to see a lot clearer, react accordingly, and give much better advice on how to tackle them. But you can be your own friend too. Imagine you are your best friend and try to tell yourself how to get past that obstacle, keeping in mind your skills and assets, but forgetting about the emotions. Stoics did this too. They just imagined what a sage, an all-knowing, enlightened person would do. Lesson 2. The bigger the obstacle, the larger its weak spot. Use it against the obstacle. Alexander the Great once faced a huge obstacle. Literally. Bucephalus was one of the best horses in all of ancient Greece. A giant black stallion, with black skin, endless endurance, and an indomitable will. No one could tame Bucephalus. Whenever someone approached him, Bucephalus would fight off the rider with fury. Alexander saw his weak spot and used it against him. He made Bucephalus run in a straight line until he could run no more. Exhausted from using all its energy in an angry sprint, Alexander mounted the horse, and from that moment on, he and Bucephalus were an inseparable unit. Just like in this story or in science fiction movies, where huge monsters and gigantic creatures always have a fatal weak spot, the biggest obstacles in our lives often also have large weaknesses which can be used against them. For example, Jerry Weintraub had a really mean sergeant when he was in the army, who'd always treat him poorly and make fun of his name. One day, standing in line to get food, Jerry whispered into his ear, "I'm going to kill you." Startled, his sergeant yelled at him. Jerry repeated, "One day when you're alone, I'm going to find you and I'm going to kill you." The sergeant completely lost it and hit Jerry in the face. One complaint to the colonel later, the sergeant was gone. His anger and intolerance of cocky talk were his downfall. All obstacles have weaknesses. You just have to look for them. Lesson 3. Your will is best used to accept the things you cannot change and change the things you can. Once you have the right perspective and know which actions you should take, getting past your obstacle is a matter of will. Your will enables you to stay persistent and not give up before you eventually find the solution and can move past your problem. The Stoic advice on cultivating that will suggests you accept the things you can't change, and instead focus on changing the things you do have control over. Natural events, other people's choices and actions, sickness, death, and economic ups and downs are all part of that first category, external factors. However, your emotions, judgments, attitudes, responses, reactions, and decisions are all yours. Take Thomas Edison, for example. When he was 67 years old, his entire laboratory burned down, including all of his experiments, prototypes, notes, and research. Facing the facts, he decided to start over. Instead of mourning over $1 million loss he could do nothing about. Once he'd gotten rid of a lot of old rubbish, as he called it, he could start fresh and ended up making $10 million in profit by the end of the next year. Whatever you can't change is not yours to complain about. Maybe it's because this sort of philosophy speaks more to introverts like me, but I love Stoicism. It provides such a great balance to the YOLO-ish hedonic society we live in today, which is all about clicks, bite-sized videos that barely cover our 8-second attention span, and finding the next purchase to satisfy our consumption cravings for a week at best. Ryan's take on this ancient philosophy is refreshing, because in The Obstacle is the Way, he draws on a wide range of individuals, mixing the history with the present and evergreen advice with contemporary tips. Many of the examples have made it into the summary as well, so if you're unfamiliar with Stoicism, I recommend you use that as a starting point and take it from there. Some other good introductory reads on the topic are Lives of the Stoics, also by Ryan Holiday, and How to Be a Stoic. Those are the individuals who truly deserve to immerse themselves in this extraordinary book. Anyone working for a business during tough economic times. Anyone working at a startup facing great challenges to get off the ground. Anyone who wants to learn how to better deal with inevitable hardships. The 25-year-old who grabs more than he can handle, aka me, and could use some patience, the 49-year-old, self-employed creative, who spends a lot of time worrying about how her next project will be received. And anyone who's never heard of Seneca. The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday is a book that explores how ancient Stoic philosophy can help us navigate and overcome the challenges we face in life. Here's why this book is worth reading. It offers practical strategies for turning obstacles into opportunities, empowering us to develop a resilient mindset. By drawing on real-life historical examples and stories, the book demonstrates that obstacles can be catalysts for growth and success. The book's thought-provoking insights challenge conventional thinking and inspire readers to embrace adversity and find strength within it. Throughout the book, Holiday shares inspiring stories of individuals who have embodied the principles of Stoicism in the face of adversity. From historical figures like Marcus Aurelius to modern-day leaders like Abraham Lincoln, these examples serve as reminders of the power of resilience, perseverance, and inner strength in overcoming obstacles. Here are some valuable insights extracted from this captivating book. I believe you will find them highly beneficial. Feel encouraged to explore its wisdom further and let it spark new perspectives and ideas on your journey. This insight boils down to a single key message. Each obstacle, each impediment, each thing that seems to be blocking the path to success is itself the path to success. In other words, every obstacle, everything that seems to be standing in your way, is itself the way. Hence the title. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, put it thus: the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. This isn't about seeing the silver lining in every situation. It's not about being a cup half full kind of person. You don't have to throw on a pair of rose-colored glasses. Seeing the opportunities hidden in every obstacle is not about being relentlessly optimistic. Rather, it's about being clear-eyed, logical, reasonable, prepared, and pragmatic. Prepared for whatever life might throw at you, and pragmatic both in how you perceive your circumstances and in how you respond to them. It's not about ignoring obstacles. It's about approaching them in the most effective way. This insight has 3 sections, just like the book: perception, action, and will. These are the 3 ingredients to flipping any situation, to taking a negative and turning it into a positive. Perception is the starting point. Learning to regard what most people would call an obstacle, an economic downturn, a traffic jam, a personal disability, anything, as a path to success. Action is next. Perceiving the path is the beginning, but it won't bring you much unless you act, unless you take that path. And then there's will, the energy, the determination, the will to stay on the path, to keep walking even when the going gets tough. All of this is simple enough, but that doesn't mean it's easy to put into practice. So let's look at some examples of people who've done it, people who've taken disadvantages, setbacks, hardships, inauspicious circumstances and flipped them over, revealing what they truly were: hidden pathways to success. 1. Perception. The opportunity in adversity. John D. Rockefeller, the famous oil baron, learned the art of perception in the crucible of crisis. In 1855, Rockefeller was 16 years old. He was just starting out as a bookkeeper, with aspirations to become an investor. 2 years later, the panic of 1857 struck, sending America spiraling into a crippling financial crisis, the greatest market depression in history. All around Rockefeller, people began abandoning careers in finance. They were afraid, panicked, perceiving what was happening as a horrible disaster. Rockefeller could have done the same. He could have panicked, scrambled to switch careers. But he didn't. Rather than losing his nerve, he decided to treat this economic cataclysm as an opportunity to learn, to observe, to figure out what he might do right in the future by watching what people were doing wrong in the present. In other words, he leveraged the power of perception. Perception is all about the meaning you impose on events. Is a financial crisis a terrifying disaster, something to run from? Or is it a learning opportunity, something to observe? It's up to you. One way of perceiving it deprives you of power. The other way gives you power. And we all know what kind of power Rockefeller accrued. By the time he was 40, Rockefeller alone controlled 90% of oil refineries in the United States. The secret to his success was an investment strategy driven by level-headed logic, not reactive emotions. He didn't invest because the market told him to, or because everyone else was doing it. And when he did make investments, he was able to remain confident and see things through, even as others sold their shares out of fear. Rockefeller was wise, resilient, adaptable, and completely calm amid the chaos. These characteristics constituted the foundation on which he built his empire. So how can we be a bit more like Rockefeller? Well, here are 3 tips. If you're faced with a major obstacle, something that's truly daunting or intimidating or frightening, try to focus on what you can control. Ignore what you can't. Remain objective. Don't get caught up in subjective emotions or projections. Stay in the present moment. Don't spiral into regrets about the past or worries about the future. You already possess the qualities necessary to perceive the opportunity in any obstacle. Logic, objectivity, reason, cool-headedness. Deploying them is just a matter of discipline, practice, and habit. 2. Perception. Recognizing your power. In the 1960s, the then-celebrated boxer Rubin "Hurricane" Carter was accused of a triple homicide. He was innocent. He'd done nothing wrong, let alone murder 3 people. Still, he was given 3 life sentences and sent to prison. 3. Perception. Altering your perspective. During the Peloponnesian War, the general Pericles and his men were at sea when, suddenly, darkness fell like a curtain. A solar eclipse had caused day to turn to night. Pericles' soldiers, confused, surprised, began to panic. But their leader, Pericles, remained calm. For action, the power of discipline. Recognizing the power you have in every situation, defanging daunting situations by shifting your perspective, realizing that a problem is only a problem if you perceive it that way. This is the beginning. Next comes action. 5. Action. Trust the process. Let's take a moment and dissect Demosthenes' process. He had a big goal: reclaim his stolen inheritance. But he didn't immediately try to accomplish that goal. He didn't take them to court as soon as he could. He followed a process, focusing all his energies on the small steps that would get him from point A to point Z. It seems obvious enough, but it's all too common for people when pursuing some huge goal to try to skip the small steps, to jump from A to Z without taking care of B, C, D, and all the rest. 6. Action. It might not work. We're about to move to the next section, will. Before we do, though, a quick reminder. It's not always going to work. You may flip an obstacle with ease, shifting your perspective, perceiving it in the most advantageous way possible, seizing your power. You may then take correct action. Setting a goal, breaking it down into individual steps, executing each step with excellence and total focus. Still, it might not work. 7. Will. Accept what you can't change and change what you can. Will is often confused with really wanting something. People think, if I want this thing really badly, then I've got it. Will. But true will has more to do with acceptance than with force. It is our final refuge in the face of trying circumstances. It's an internal power, the thing that enables us to do what we discussed in the last chapter. Accept with grace and humility what we can't change. Be resilient enough and flexible enough to move on when we don't get our way. Will. Be ready to persevere. After fighting in Troy for 10 long years, Odysseus, the protagonist of Homer's epic poem, The Odyssey, finally sets sail for home. What happens then? 10 years of obstacles. On his ill-fated journey home, he is held prisoner, faces numerous temptations, loses all of his men, encounters dangerous whirlpools, and even fights off a cyclops and a 6-headed monster. Eventually, though, after 20 years of war and hardship, he does get home, reunited at last with his wife and son. 9. Will. Meditate on death and get ready to begin again. It may sound morbid, but we're all going to die. Not today, you might think, and that may be true, but each day that we don't die, death draws nearer. The Obstacle is the Way is a self-help book intended to give the reader a solid grasp of the basics of Stoicism and an understanding of their practical application in everyday life. This is not an academic work or a philosophy text, but rather a philosophical self-help book for managing the obstacles that life presents us. As the title of the book might suggest, the word obstacles is mentioned more than any other term throughout the text. The book's message is that innate within each individual is the ability to overcome obstacles. Individuals may not be able to control everything in life, but self-control is always possible. If we can control our perception of the situation, we can control our reaction to it. This in turn will strengthen our will and resolve to act. As a result, those who seek to live by Stoic principles should act in a way that is deliberate. In turn, they will benefit from stronger willpower and resilience in the face of adversity. The author intentionally avoids a discussion of what Stoicism is and rarely uses the term itself. He also only briefly mentions in passing the ancient Stoic philosophers. The exception is Emperor Marcus Aurelius, whose work Meditations is the inspiration for this book. While the original Meditations offers erudite ideas, they are often fragmentary. As a result, the essence of Aurelius's philosophy is often distilled into a single quote: "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Holiday's book takes its title from this maxim. Let's continue exploring the additional key takeaways of the book to gain further insights and knowledge. Emperor Marcus Aurelius embodies the ideal of the philosopher king. His success in life was due in part to his adherence to Stoic principles. Controlling our perception of a situation is key to overcoming obstacles in life. Self-control of our perceptions takes practice. The successful practitioner of Stoic philosophy develops a reserve of willpower. The proposed Stoic response to obstacles in life is what psychologists now call adversarial growth. Through thoughtful and decisive action, people can overcome the obstacles in their lives. Failure isn't the problem. Not learning from our failure is a problem. Stoicism was not merely a metaphysical or academic philosophy. Classical Stoicism is a practical philosophy for living a virtuous life. Due to its approach to solving obstacles, Stoicism is an ideal philosophy for today's leaders. Emperor Marcus Aurelius embodies the ideal of the philosopher king. His success in life was due in part to his adherence to Stoic principles. Marcus Aurelius was the last of what are referred to by historians as the five good emperors. He ruled over a period in Roman history in which the empire experienced particularly good governance. The roots of Stoicism go back to at least 301 BC, when the philosopher Zeno of Citium began teaching. However, little of his thought or that of other early Stoics survives to the present day. Writing hundreds of years later, Aurelius was one of the last of the Stoic philosophers of which we know. His work Meditations became one of Stoicism's classic texts. Aurelian Stoicism developed during a period of turmoil. The work is believed to have been written over a period of 20 years while Aurelius was leading a military campaign in the Balkans. As emperor, Aurelius had to contend with foreign threats from the Persian Empire, internal rebellions against authoritarian rulers in Syria, difficult questions about Roman citizenship, and the rise of new ideologies, including Christianity and groups such as the Ebionites. Prior to his death, Aurelius may have been planning to annex what is today the Czech Republic to the Roman Empire. Aurelius may have been somewhat of a reluctant emperor and seems to have considered philosophy as his first career. Controlling our perception of a situation is key to overcoming obstacles in life. In the Stoic view, we cannot control every situation. In fact, there are few, if any, situations that we can control. However, we can endeavor to control our perceptions, which should be ruled by both logic and objectivity. Reason is the guiding principle of Stoic thought and action in everyday life. When making choices, in particular difficult choices, Stoicism teaches that we must remove emotion, distractions, and unnecessary concerns when deciding how to best overcome obstacles. This belief is based on the idea that every individual possesses the free will necessary to behave as a rational actor. Some modern scientists have attempted to show that the brain is more than just a biochemical engineering and that humans do in fact have free will, suggesting that the basic assumption of Stoic philosophy, that humans have free will, may also have a basis in brain chemistry. Contemporary science supports the notion that if we allow emotions and prejudices to enter into our thoughts, we begin to lose our will. Thus, science appears to be consistent with the Stoic belief that people can control their actions by preventing unfiltered perceptions from controlling their reactions to a given situation. In conclusion, The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday is a thought-provoking and inspiring read that offers valuable insights on how to turn obstacles into opportunities for growth and self-discovery. By adopting a Stoic mindset and embracing life's challenges head-on, we can unlock our full potential and thrive in the face of adversity. If you're looking to cultivate resilience, overcome obstacles, and transform your mindset, I highly recommend diving into the pages of The Obstacle is the Way. Let this book be your guide as you navigate the twists and turns of life with courage and grace. You can find the link to acquire a copy of this incredible book in the description below. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you found this book summary helpful, Be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more book summaries and insightful content. And share this uplifting summary with someone who may benefit from hearing them. Leave a comment down below if you've read this book or have any other recommendations for us. Until next time, stay awesome and keep learning. Remember, the obstacle is the way.